Hi, I'm Siddharth Deshmukh and welcome you all to new episode of Sportsy, Let's Talk Sports. This is where we talk about fun aspects of sports and the informative aspects of sports, and we talk to a lot of people who are players or administrators or the companies who are doing a great job in sports industry. Today we have a special guest who is a thorough sports management professional, career with IMG, career with Total Sports Asia as a MD South Asia, and now the MD and the co-founder of Baseline Venture, one of the most promising and one of the leading sports management firm in India, having multiple properties from events to talent to having the sports property, everything all together. We have with us Tuhin Mishra. Hi, Tuhin.
Hey, hi, Sid.
Great to have you here. For the viewers, Tuhin Mishra is MD, co-founder of Baseline Venture and a thorough sports management professional for many years. Been a general manager with IMG, has been a head of South Asia for Total Sports Asia, TSA, and now for last 7 to 8 years, it's with handling the Baseline Venture and the amazing portfolio that they have. So today we'll be talking about all the great female athlete that Baseline Venture has it. And we will be discussing about what it takes to be a female athlete on the marketing side, branding side, and something that people want to know from the sports management as an industry, the career aspirants. So Tuhin, welcome on Sportsy, Let's Talk Sports.
Thanks a lot, Sid. Thanks a lot for having me here. Just to kind of correct, Baseline, we are in our 6th year of operations.
6 years, sorry.
So, yes, but yeah,
Yes.
Sometimes it does feel it is 8 or 10 years, but yes.
Yeah, it's been there, right? It's like it's the time since Indian sports industry came there. You were there, except IPL. I think everywhere, every other sports thing that grew in sports industry, you've been there from the inception. Only IPL probably started a few years before.
As a matter of fact, no. I mean, I was with IMG since 2000. See, IPL happened in 2008, but yes, when IPL was happening, I had just left IMG before that. But my few of my fellow co-founders, they were all part of IPL.
So it's a solid team, brings probably a century-long sports management experience among themselves. So I think it's a
yes, effectively yes. If we combine all our
exactly,
yes, we would be close to raising a bat of hitting a century.
With raising the bat, I want to have my first question about to you about the female athletes rosters that you have, and obviously nobody can miss what Smriti has done, what Jamie is doing. I think the double trouble is phenomenal. PV, so it's a great roster, and it goes on like Deepika Kumari. You're talking about Jyotsna, the current sensation of Shefali as well, right? It's a 16-year-old getting in the stage of the World Cup cricket at T20. I think it was amazing. So, what made you get this amazing female roster and start focusing on the female brands at Baseline?
So, Sid, just to kind of take you back, which is when we had started with our talent division within Baseline. So, Sindhu and Shrikant, they were the first 2 signings for us, or actually they were signed almost together. So, it was not in particular that we were kind of focusing on a female athlete only. So, with all due respect, it was with both Sindhu and Shrikant whom we've signed. It's just that Rio Olympics happened, and obviously Sindhu came to a completely different league, which we all know. And again, but the fact of the matter is that obviously a lot of work was also being done for Shrikant, Kidavi Shrikant, and he's an amazing player. And during this period, Shrikant had also become world number 1. He's won 4 Super Series in a year, which only 3 people in the world have done till now. I mean, no other Indian badminton player has ever done that, which is not a small achievement. But yes, Sindhu, obviously, with her performances and her consistent performances, she was obviously creating all the news. And what we also managed to do was that we went ahead and we were marketing her well. And a lot of brands, we were able to create interest with a lot of brands, and a lot of brands came forward and started endorsing her as well, or taking her on board as a brand ambassador. And so that kind of worked, I would say, in multiple forms in terms of making the brand PV Sindhu as we all know today.
Yeah. and that actually got into the Forbes list of one of the highest paid female celebrities.
Yes, absolutely,
So
and that's wonderful. And with probably all the credit goes to Sindhu,
yes,
what she has done and what she has achieved. And she has kept on evolving also over a period of time. So if you see
correct.
the Sindhu of 2016 versus Sindhu of 2020, there is a difference in terms of the way she manages herself, the way
Yeah,
what she has achieved till now. And mind you, she is still only 24 now. So
exactly. And we feel that she's been there for ages now.
yes, so she still has a lot of years ahead of her,
Yes.
and she is a phenomenon, or
Yeah.
phenomenon as we call it. I'm sure she will bring a lot more accolades for India.
Yes. And yeah, we are just looking for that. Hope the Tokyo happens soon, and we get to see that something other than Avinav Bindra to have a gold.
Yeah,
So
fingers
that
crossed. We all
yes, exactly. So I have a question. How is it different to manage a female athlete vis-a-vis a male athlete?
It's a good question, Sid. And actually, when you're asking, and if I look back, uh, it's a lot of times there's not much of a difference. It's
Hmm.
not much of a difference. Also, yes, when you are handling a female athlete, you have to be a little more sensitive about certain things. You have to be a little more adaptable to their own situations,
Hmm.
and otherwise, all of them are professionals. So whether
Yes.
it's a male athlete or a female athlete, they are professionals.
Hmm.
They understand that they are there to do certain work. There's an agreement if they have signed.
Yes.
They know, it needs to be performed. There are certain deliverables that needs to be met, and even in terms of in kind of personal handling, it is almost similar to what you would experience with a male athlete as well.
Right.
At least the kind of roster of athletes that we have,
Hmm.
both females and males, we, in a way, I don't think we've come across a situation where we have to set aside a special formula to
Right.
manage a female athlete, and that
Mm.
formula is different with a male athlete.
Right.
And it goes with a certain amount of trust also that you build over a
Correct.
period of time. Trust not only with the athlete but also with the athlete's family, and
Yes.
it kind of goes down with both males and females. And it's also a function of at what stage of the life you've got associated with the athlete,
Correct.
whether it's a female athlete or a male athlete. So obviously your bond becomes stronger, uh, when you are kind of managing them from I would say, a nascent stage or an
Hmm.
initial stage of their career, versus when you have, try to kind of get yourself associated at a later date. I'm not
Right.
saying, but sometimes our relationships have really kind of clicked even in the first 6 months of association
Correct. Yeah.
with certain athletes. So it's all, each has his own way of,
Correct.
in terms of, there's never a one size
Yeah. Fits all the formula.
kind of
Yeah.
a situation.
Yeah. So, okay. So, for a talent management company, I think, as you said rightly, with it's a similar. Obviously, other than the sensitivity part of it, or being more cautious about some of the situation, being a female athlete, I think everything is the same. Are the brands also perceiving it the same way?
See, the brands also, what has happened is, and I would say Sindhu in that sense has been a revelation and a case study also in the Indian sports marketing, because in terms of, and it's well documented as well, that with Sindhu, we've managed to break the glass ceiling in terms of
Yes.
the endorsement fee that she has managed to get, in terms of clients who are willing, or brands which are willing to pay for her services. And it has actually paved way for a lot of other female athletes as well to expect that, or to aspire that kind of a situation. Obviously, it's a function of the
Yeah.
performance as well. It
Correct.
is, just a certain medal here or there will not catapult a certain female athlete or a male athlete into that level. It is always
Yes.
his performance. So what you do on field a lot of time translates into what happens off field. Yes,
Yes.
there are also situations where there are athletes, and I'm not saying or getting into names, but there are a lot of athletes which we feel haven't been marketed well, or
Yes.
things have not happened for them. It's also a function of the team which handles them. So that also becomes important. Which company manages you, how much of effort they are going to make or put to market that particular athlete.
Correct. uh, I think you said it very well. The brands are also looking at it. is I think for them it is about they have to believe, and it's our responsibility, or the agency's responsibility to give a right spin to matching the brand attributes with the brands. Uh,
It's also a function of the storytelling, right? So when you are
yes,
looking at a brand and you take a female athlete, and since we are talking about female athletes now, it is also what kind of story the brand wants to say. That
yes,
story matches with the athlete. Sometimes the relationships are also very transactional, with all due respect. That, oh,
yes,
that this athlete has this many following, let me just do a one-off deal.
correct.
That kind of a thing also happens in the market, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but those
Yeah,
are more, I would say, transactional relationships, right? It is, you're not getting into the brand story, you're not getting into building something. Yes,
yes,
when you get into a proper brand story, it's a long-term deal, then you're looking a lot more than just an Instagram following and a Twitter following or a
yes.
Facebook followers, right? And that's where we always hope that brands look at that. But
Yeah.
again, sometimes the marketing objectives are different, and accordingly, then those deals are structured.
Yeah, and honestly speaking, that we live in a lot of taboos around us, and Sindhu coming up with the sanitary pad ad, I think was one of the revolutionary ad. Honestly speaking, if I look, because we've been watching the models doing those ads, and we know it's a thing which is required. It's not something taboo. It is something which is the day to day kind of thing for a female, for a woman. And as athlete at Sindhu's level coming and talking it out, I think that change a lot of thing on the perception. I use that case study at whenever I go and speak at the schools with the young kids and everything. I use that case study, the way that changed the vision. I think that was phenomenal. Did you feel any apprehension from athletes if these kind of things are coming up as a brand? Or athletes are also age athletes are also opening up more to give back with one is the commercial side, but also give back to the society with the right message?
No, not at all. And I must give a lot of credit to Johnson and Johnson for that. So when we had got into a discussion with them in terms of having an endorsement arrangement with Sindhu and Johnson, and that was Stay Free as the brand.
Stay free. Yeah.
And so when we took the entire concept and the deal to Sindhu and her family, I must give also credit to them that they were very kind of forthcoming in this. Because they always also felt that it's not just the whole commercial aspect, but it's obviously a larger
Yes.
message or a stronger message that needs to go
Mhm.
out. And Sindhu being a role model for girls across the country, then why not?
Yeah.
And this kind of a message should not be just limited to, say, a model or a Bollywood actor or something. It is sports people as well, and how they manage the situations that they all deal with. And this is something which has been actually covered in our the first episode of Double Trouble,
Yes. Yes.
where Smriti and Jemmy had asked this question to Sindhu, and I think all the three girls kind of, I would say personally, kind of handled it amazingly well,
Yes.
and
And though,
they shared the experiences which probably could be, I would say, a lot of women across the country can identify with and also get strength, and they would relate to the whole situation that probably every woman on this earth kind of they face and undergo.
yeah. And believe me, I have taken those snippets from that videos inside my presentation whenever I speak now. I'm with followers of that double trouble thing. It's like it's too much. It's like it's real fun. Honestly speaking, the credit goes to Smriti and Jamie for doing it. At the same time, it credit goes to you guys to use the nice faces with lot of followership, liking, and getting the right message out. I think it's kudos to you guys for doing that as well.
No.
Okay, so now I'm one side we're talking about Sindhu as okay, different iconic figure. Now we come to the cricket part of it, where we know cricket is like a religion in India, but the women cricket is still picking up. It's in early stage, and you have a roster of the four, I think 4 or 5 female athletes. Out of them, two are the top girls, and obviously Shefali is breaking into the thing, and Radha, I think she's also a great prospect. So how do you deal with somebody like Smriti, who is completely, I'll not say introvert, but reserved, and Jamie, who is completely extrovert or outspoken? It's not like about the age difference, it's about the way you are. How do you deal with somebody like Jamie specifically to get her the brand, and somebody like Smriti to get her a brand because of the completely opposite personalities?
So, as a matter of fact, and I will kind of explain all the four girls in a way, the four cricketers whom we
Yeah.
manage, which is Smriti, Jemi, Shefali, and Radha. So, Smriti, our association obviously goes back longer. This is
Yeah.
right after 2017 World Cup. And it was a interesting thing, kind of conversation that we had, and we got her on board. And the interesting part about Smriti is that while she might come across sometimes that she is a little more reserved or a little introvert, as a matter of fact, she is not. And
Oh,
probably the show Double Trouble also showed or has shown certain aspects of her personality
yes.
that she has a certain sense of humor, which is very different. So it might
Yeah.
not be on your face kind of a humor, but she is actually very funny. And
Very witty. She's very
she's a
witty.
very witty, and
Yeah.
she's a very thinking cricketer in the
Yes.
sense that she's very mature, and her maturity kind of transcends beyond her age.
Yeah.
So while Smriti is 23, uh, uh, the kind of how do I say, the personality that she has, you would actually think that,
Yeah.
oh, probably she is much older,
Correct.
and that's the kind of level-headedness that she has. On the other hand, Jemmy, who's 19, she is the young, bubbly girl
Yeah.
and very vivacious, and she can, she's very lively, and she has all the sparks. And again, while that's also very interesting about Jemmy is that at one hand, while she comes across as a very extrovert, but she's also someone who's, I would say, a thinking person.
Hmm.
She has a lot of emotions, and a lot of times, people might just see the funny side of her,
Yeah.
but she also has a kind of a
Oh,
serious side, a mature side, and she's also pretty mature for her age.
yes.
Coming to Shefali, uh,
Yeah. Great girl.
Shefali
Yeah.
is again someone, and again, our association with Shefali in that sense is very recent.
Very
We
decent. Yeah.
signed her sometime around January, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes.
and January of 2020. And just before they were about to leave for the Australia tour, I mean, they had the Tri
Yeah.
Series and then the World Cup. And so Shefali, we are in the process of knowing her more. But whatever we've known her over this period, uh, an extremely confident girl for a 16-year-old, very clear in her mind, very clear in terms of what she wants, even if she's talking to us, that, sir, I want this kind of a bat, I want this kind of a thing. So when, we are
Yeah.
talking with the bat manufacturers, there are certain very specific messages which go out, sir, I can do this. So even if there's a commercial that had to be done, she was very clear in terms of what she wanted to do, or what she can do and what she can't do. So
Very.
for a 16-year-old to have that clarity and have that clarity of mind, kind of speaks volumes of what she is as a person and what she will be going ahead or going
Yes.
forward. And probably that reflects in her batting as well, because it shows a very fearless kind of batting that she does. It could be a function of age
Yes.
as well, because at 16, a lot of times you have nothing to lose and you are just there to prove yourself.
Correct. Yeah.
But what she has done, it's been amazing. And the fourth one that we have is Radha.
Yes.
Radha again is I would say, a very sweet girl. Again, very young, and probably she's an all-rounder. She bats very
Yeah.
well. She bowls well, and she's also a fielder, an amazing
Correct.
fielder.
Correct.
And again, each have their very own distinct personality, and that's what makes our job also interesting, because when you're speaking
Right.
with brands, every brand also looks at different kind of personalities.
Yes, I think you put it pretty well. I think so. It's about their personality and how brands are looking at it. How do you think you look at the other player like Apurvi, phenomenal talent, right? That we have, and Deepika is a proven performer. Jyotsna is a proven performer. How do you work on do you work on their mental aspect from the marketing side? Because we know those sports do not get the visibility that probably they deserve. So how do you deal with those kind of situation when you know that okay, they are the world champion, they are there, but they don't have the visibility for almost 2 to 3 years till the time some world series happens, vis-a-vis PV Sindhu or cricketers. So how do you deal with them? Do you get into that side, or it is your that is left to the mental coach of what they have?
With respect with, again, as you rightly said, the other female athletes that we have an Apurvi Chandela. Our association is for the last 7, 8 months, 9 months. Then we have Joshna Chinappa. Also, our association has been recent that aspect. Then Deepika Kumari also has been pretty recent. I would say 4 months back when we signed her on board. And also another female athlete that we have is Nikhat Zareen, whom we signed around a year back.
Correct.
Right?
Boxer,
and again, each one of them, firstly, they are all world champions.
Correct.
So whether it is a Apurvi or a Nikhat or a Joshna or a Deepika Kumari. And to answer your question, yes, we don't at this point in time get into the mental aspect because, they have their own, I would say, a team in place which looks into that aspect. And there are certain things we don't want to kind of get into. Because we feel if there's a certain system which is working for them, then why change something which is something which for them they are already comfortable with.
Yes.
Now we are always happy to provide any help if it is required. We've also done that where we've used one of the top mental coaches of this country, Shri Advani, who's Pankaj Advani's brother, and he's amazing. He's an amazing guy. And so we've used his services with a couple of our players in the past. And so we are always ready to provide those services if it is asked for. And we also try and see where it is required and if a player asks for it. Because a lot of times the federation is there, they provide.
Correct.
They're also associated with certain organizations where they provide them with certain mental aspect and training. So we take a back step in those cases where it is not required.
Okay. So, how are these athletes face the glamour? Because they are known for their sport, and suddenly, yes, there is a glamour part when you talk about the endorsement, celebrity management. There is a glamour to it. How do they deal with that? Somebody like Shefali, will start probably at the Shefali's level. PV is now mature. I think she is now in the leagues of Kohli and Dhoni's of the world. That is what for the female athlete. She has reached there. But somebody like Shefali, who is raw, needs to be groomed for certain things that comes on the way, or somebody like Deepika Kumari, or somebody who is. It's like they need to be seen. So how do you train them, or how are they looking at the glamour part of it?
So, Sid, these are, I would say, slow and gradual process. We specifically don't want to push them or we try to push them to suddenly start looking glamorous, because what happens is that, and we've seen it from our experience, and I'm saying experience of last 20 years, sometimes a lot of athletes we see, they are being pushed into wearing certain kind of clothes, certain kind of attire, which somehow doesn't gel with their personality. And we strongly believe that you should make your presence felt by not what you wear, but what you speak. Right? So it is it is important that we try and kind of impress upon the athlete to speak well. And it doesn't mean that you have to speak in English. It could be Hindi, it could be any language. But when you are speaking, then obviously there are certain people who are following you. And when they are following you, then you need to make sense. You need to inspire people because they are looking at you as role model. And you could be at any age in the spectrum. So you could be a 25-year-old girl or you could be a 16-year-old girl.
Correct.
And things, people improve with time. People improve with opportunities. So we don't want, we never try and put pressure on our athletes that, oh, you have to do this, you have to do this. No, let it be a slow, gradual process. Because at the end of the day, it's a double-edged sword. Because if you concentrate too much on that and your performances on the field kind of start dipping, then people will jump on you, media will jump on you that, oh, you've become this and you've actually left the most important part, which has actually made you, which is your performance on the field. So it's a very thin line. Yes, glamour at a certain level is important. But if you ask any athlete, or at least our athletes, we never push them to generally try to be glamorous or try to add glamour to the element just for the heck of it. Let it be a natural process. And every person has their own, a domain strength.
Right.
So use that strength to your advantage instead of trying to become something which you are not.
I think what I could get out of it is a very good message for the parents of the young athletes, that they should be looking at the performance and let the performance take you to the level. Everything else, people will follow you. If you are performing, you have a story. If you are dedication, persistent, people will follow you, and people need the icons.
You need the icons, and you don't need to be the most eloquent, the most suave, the most well-dressed to be the icon.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
So as long as you are confident about yourself, people will sit and notice and will listen to you,
Right.
and will be ready to accept you as a role model. They will not accept you as a role model just because you're wearing a flashy chain or wearing a flashy t-shirt or a jacket or whatever, and you start doing various stuff just to create that style statement. A lot of times people do get influenced by those stuff as well, and I'm talking about athletes in general across.
Yes. All over the world, we know that the disparity of payments that happens between the male and female, and also we don't want to get to that issue. We know that also happens in the celebrity endorsement model at certain level as well. Not everybody is going to that level, but do you think the sport is doing enough for the female athletes? The IPL is so successful, but other than the exhibition match, it has not gone ahead. Like what Big Bash has done for the female, or the Kia has done for in Europe, in UK. Do you think the Indian sport has still not done those kind of activities, enhance the whole level of female athletes?
See, in that aspect, if you ask me, yes, there's a Big Bash. There used to be a Kia Super League, and now they were turning into something else from this year, which unfortunately hasn't happened. But what BCCI has also done for women cricket, it is actually phenomenal, because a lot of parents probably don't realize or understand that if you look at a team sport per se, women cricket currently is the highest paid team sport in our country. So if you are a centrally contracted player of BCCI, I'm talking from a women sport per se, your annual payouts are a lot more compared to any other sport. So if you are actually playing cricket and you're playing cricket for India, I'm leaving aside the endorsement aspect. So as women cricketers, depending on whether you're on grade A, grade B, or grade C, or whatever those three grades are, in terms of the terminology which is used.
Yes.
Depending upon whatever grade that you are in, the annual amount that you are kind of promised or you are supposed to get is a lot more than any other sport in our country. So in that aspect, BCCI has done an amazing job. So as a woman cricketer, you are actually secured financially,
right?
Which, sorry to say, a lot of other sports in our country, and I'm talking about every other sport in our country, doesn't have that luxury. So in that aspect, it is amazing. And we've done a league ourselves, which is a Pro Volleyball League in 2019. And we know a lot of times economics need to work to make a league in place.
Yes, correct.
So BCCI obviously had started with an IPL, which is for men, and slowly they have started with the women exhibition matches. And I'm sure down the line, the kind of a women IPL will also see the light of the day. It's just a matter of time. I'm 100% sure about that. What people don't realize, that at the end of the day, you need a certain pool of players to make 6 teams or 8 teams. If you don't have that, then, if you're doing a 3-team league or a 4-team, it kind of doesn't give you that impact. So you need a certain pool of players. So you need a pool of players at least of 150, 200 when you're talking about cricket, which has 11 players. So 11 plus, say, you have 5 or 6 on the bench. So you need 16 into whatever, the number of teams that you're looking at. So you need good quality play to happen. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to have a league and the quality of play is so atrocious that people don't want to watch.
Exactly.
So all factors have to be taken into account. It is not just that, let me do something just for the heck of it.
Yeah.
So even when we did our a league, volleyball league, we had actually had an exhibition match. We did it in year 1 itself. No other league had done that for women. We did it in year 1 itself of our league. because we wanted to showcase how the women volleyball also looks. Globally, it's a big thing, but everything has a time and place. And I'm sure it's just a matter of probably a year or so when we will also have women cricket happening, or a league happening for women cricketers as well.
Right. So I think you mentioned about how the Indian cricketers, female cricketers, are secure now, at least financially doing it. But do you, as a talent management agency
Yeah.
working with it, or somebody who is aspirational to be in a talent management agency, do you deal with the aspects of Plan B for the athletes for their future security?
What we tell them, and it's not to do with just women athletes, but also male athletes, we do tell them first to finish at least their graduation, even if it is long distance.
Very
A
nice.
lot of athletes do drop out. They don't finish post 12, or they're in their college and they don't complete it. And there's no harm in at least finishing your graduation, and it can be done if someone is serious enough, and someone is how do I say, are willing to put in a little bit of hard work. It can be done. Sindhu, a lot of people don't know, Sindhu has done her MBA.
Yes.
Now Sindhu, with all her tough schedule that is there, and they play close to 15 tournaments in a year, and it is a rigorous sport. It is not an easy sport. It's a out and out, a strenuous sport. So if she can manage to take her time, sit for her exams, and obviously graduate, I'm sure a lot of people can do it. It is not a function of, you're getting a first division or second division or something. It's just a basic knowledge. And we all know education is always important. So a plan B, the basis of a plan B is obviously first is get at least your basic education in place. Then yes, always tell them that, obviously when they are kind of going through the ranks, you don't want to create doubts in their minds. But I am sure at a certain time or a certain level or a certain point in time, they know whether they can go to that next level, or, they are reaching a plateau and they have to look at other options.
Right.
So I think in our scheme of things, I would say, thankfully, most of the athletes are very young in our roster. So we had to kind of really get into it. And there are a couple of them who are there at their, I would say, pinnacle of their career. I'm sure there are certain things being talked about, and hopefully things fall in place. Being coaches, creating an academy, trying to give back to the sport. So those are things that is currently being spoken about. It won't be fair to speak about which athletes now, but yes, those are things which we are doing.
Being technical side and using the management side, how do you grow the sports? I think you spoke about the academies and the coaching side and all those things. I think it's the perfect answer to it. So now, and very well said about the education. I think it is very important. So I have a last question. Now we spoke about the athletes, and then probably plan B beyond them. We spoke about education. So I think we answered some of the questions by the parents, some of the athletes, female athletes questions. Now I have a question for aspirants who want to be in the sports industry. Now we start seeing a lot of girls coming into the MBA sports management. They were like event side of it, marketing side of it. So what is that they need to do? Because it's always understood, unfortunately, consider that events is a late night and all those things. It's a male dominant society. Media is a male dominant society. So what all things that you can tell them that, okay, in the sports management purview, the career of options for girls, which also gives the confidence to the parents that and clear those doubts that they may have.
Right. So, Sid, I can only say from the experience that I've had and I've seen across organizations that I've worked for, and obviously baseline, which is that if you're a girl and if a girl kid is interested in sports and has a passion for sports, then it's a perfect place to be in. She can be involved in any aspect of the organization which is into sports, whether it is marketing, whether it is sales, whether it is legal, whether it is whatever, licensing and merchandising, whether it is television production, whether it is event management.
Correct.
And I'm talking about from a sports point of view. So the girl can be involved in any of these aspects. It's a function of whether she really enjoys this job or not.
Yes.
It doesn't have to do with any kind of a safety issues or anything of those kinds. It is a safe place. It is probably one of the safest places. It is a place where people have fun. we all enjoy. So
Correct.
whether in whatever aspect that you're involved with, whether it is an event, whether it is a sports work, whether you're managing an athlete, we all enjoy, we all have fun.
Yes.
And that is the basis. So if your girl wants to kind of take up this as a profession, yes, it's a brilliant profession. Over a period of time, it pays you well as well. But most importantly, you have fun. And so as long as you have that job satisfaction, and we see a lot of girls, and now we come across a lot of girls who are in the industry who are passionate about sports. So it's not just a male thing, it's not like a boys thing.
Yes.
So you have girls who are managers of sports people or sports athletes. You have girls who are handling sports law. You have girls who are kind of obviously into event management and everything. So I mean, this industry in that sense is fairly well kind of spread out.
I think very well said, and this is what parents also want to listen to. That when they come and ask, is it a good industry? Is it a new industry? What all things happen? All those things. So I think you pulled pretty well. And coming from a person like you who has so much of experience across the multinational and running your own firm as well, I think it speaks a lot. One thing I just want to know from you is like, how do you look at the CSR as an angle towards the grassroots for female development, because CSR is aligned with the sustainable development goals and all those things. So how do you think that plays a big role in the development of this?
So I have 2 points of view in that, which is one, that obviously it is very important. There is this whole girl development and everything aspect which the government is running anyways. Now you add sports to it. Now that girl child development could be at various levels, right? Which is at education, which could be at hygiene, which could be at sports, which could be at skill development.
Correct.
Right. So those are various aspects, and you obviously combining the whole the girl perspective also into that, right? And obviously it can be attributed to men or boys also to it. But since we are talking about girls here, so that is one aspect. The other aspect is that I also see a lot of people who just do it for the sake of it.
Right.
And that is where my personal issue is that there are people who don't do it genuinely. Mm-hmm. It is just not just creating a foundation. It's not just trying to get some money from here and there and trying to just to create an award show, trying to do something. And it is actually not being done at a grassroots level. So these things have to be done at a grassroots level, which is going to affect generations or going to affect a certain class of people. And but yes, it is important. There are companies who want to do it and genuinely want to do it. How well those funds are being utilized, how well it is actually percolating it to that lowest level. That needs to come, because at the end of the day, a parent who is coming from a little less privileged society is not able to fulfill those ambitions and dreams of his child, whether a girl or a boy. Then this whole facade of creating this CSR and all those things, that it actually goes down the drain. So our request is only that whoever is starting these kind of organizations or this kind of work, it is really commendable at the first place, because we need people to do that. But we have to ensure that it is actually percolating at the lowest level. And it is not just made a spectacle that, we are trying to do something and it's more of a media kind of a hype than actual work which is happening. Yeah. So if that can happen, because we come across, Sid, a lot of kids who reach out to us. No, we are not a CSR organization. It's not that we're sitting with CSR funds and, okay, I can dole out this and that, because there are certain rules also how a CSR money can be used. So yes, there are organizations which do that, and some organizations do wonderful job as well. We are also aware of that, and I'm not kind of naming those organizations, but yes, there are certain organizations who are doing amazing work, and it has benefited a lot of athletes. And that's what, there are certain checks and balances that needs to be there. That's our only mission.
I think very well put forward, Tuhin. I think this chat can go on and on, but I think we have come to the time where it's just want to say it was wonderful talking to you. It's fun to understand the man behind the whole thing, and the face that you have given to the women athletes, from the branding to marketing to PR. Teaching them, telling them, being their friend and walking across with them. I think it's phenomenal. Kudos to you. And more and more power to you with supporting more and more female athletes. We have heroes. We need more and more heroes, and I think you're playing a phenomenal job in that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your kind words, Sid. It's
Yes.
always a pleasure to interact with you and know you as a person as well. So thanks a lot, and best of luck to your show as well.
Yes. Thank you, and talk to you soon. Yeah. Bye.